Action!
Hello and welcome to episode 46 of The Average Critics. We're two-manning it today. It's just Obi and I.
The way it's meant to be.
Yeah, exactly. You know, through thick and thin.
Even though you went cinema without me.
Well, look, I finished work early and it was 5:20 showing.
No excuses.
And I know that you don't get to East Croydon till about 6.
No excuses.
You
could have asked.
There's me being a considerate friend.
You could have asked. A considerate friend would have asked.
No, because I know you and I know your work schedule, so I didn't even want to, because otherwise you'd have rejected me.
That's debatable. I might have left work early for you, Ken. You don't know.
Nah, I don't think so.
What cinema did you go to? You went to
Beckenham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
I saw you actually get off at the tram stop yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was going to the gym.
So I know that you wouldn't have made it at 5:20.
Well, I might have left early for you, Ken, just saying.
Well, we'll talk about that film later because we've seen both of those. But first, I guess a bit of film news. So there's been another Star Wars announcement.
Yeah.
So on top of the director Rian Johnson, who did Last Jedi, he's getting a trilogy of movies. That was announced way back in December.
Another trilogy after this.
So it's outside.
We've got one more in this.
Yeah, at least.
And then after that, he's going to do 3 films. Or he's going to do 2 films because he's already done 1.
No, he's going to do 3. So but it's not going to be it's not going to be like episode 10, 11, 12.
Right.
It's going to be a separate, kind of like a Rogue One.
Oh, I see.
Sort of sitch.
Okay.
Which there's no details about that, but he's got a trilogy. And then Benioff and Weiss, who are the showrunners for Game of Thrones, they've got a trilogy.
For Star Wars?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
And then now John Favreau, who's directed things like The Jungle Book and Iron Man, he has got a TV series. Are we getting too saturated?
Yeah, I think they're announcing all of this way too because what's that? That's what, 6 films?
6 films.
Plus the one we know is going to come out after the Last Jedi. Plus the Han Solo film and any other those little spin-offs that they plan to do. It's just a lot of I just think I don't think about, because obviously I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I don't think about all those lists of films and think, oh yeah, I'm excited to see all those.
Me neither.
Especially the TV series, maybe, because they might do them. I don't know, but only if they kind of make it kind of more adult, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
No,
if they do it like the Marvel Netflix TV shows, like they focus on a minor character, and see how they develop. But something like even one that we might have already seen, like Mace Windu, who like Samuel Jackson played in the new 1, 2, and 3. That might be all right, but yeah, it's getting far too saturated. How can you announce a trilogy of films when you don't know whether the first one's going to be successful?
Exactly.
I mean,
because it's Star Wars, isn't it? So they know that, even because obviously, I think for Star Wars, if it makes because it could make 800 million or whatever, and for them that would be bad, but in relation to any other film, that would be pretty decent. So I think they'll just keep, because they know Star Wars is such a big thing, such a massive fan base, they can just keep rolling out films.
Yeah.
It's like Marvel, you can just they've got maybe, but the time's probably limited, but they've got probably a good 10-year window where they can just keep rolling out films, and literally no one will not go to see it unless they roll out 3 consecutive crap films. And even then there will still be people saying that they love it, because even The Last Jedi, on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that, people were rating it pretty highly, and then obviously you come to, when I talk to other people about it, I don't think I've met one person who thought, oh yeah, I thought it was really good. I think I probably rated it highest out of all the people I've spoken to about it.
Yeah, but then you're the least kind of attached to the Star Wars franchise. Well, talking of Marvel, they've officially announced Black Panther 2, which we all kind of knew and expected. I mean, I don't think it's not past $1 billion quite yet, as far as I'm aware. But obviously it's been a huge success.
Yeah, man. So,
what would you want to see from a Black Panther 2 in an ideal world?
I want to see a bit more of Wakanda, just exploring maybe some different tribes, because obviously we saw. Even to be fair, we didn't really see T'Challa's tribe all that much, really.
No.
We kind of saw his council of, his king's council, whatever. But we didn't really explore his tribe. I might like to see a bit of that. So obviously we saw the Jabari tribe with M'Baku and all them lot. So I don't know, maybe like, see different factors or sections. I don't know, what else would I like to see?
Bit more of Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah, although I think he won't be in the next... I don't know why, I feel like he won't be in the next film. I hope he is.
I feel like he could be one of those, antagonist, protagonist, switch between ally and foe. Like, that would be quite a good, a bit... I know we said it with Killmonger, but a bit Loki-ish in that respect.
I would like to see how T'Challa develops as a king, like ruling and stuff like that, because obviously he's got to do it kind of like by himself now. I hope they don't, because I feel like they're going to set it outside of Wakanda, so it's going to be like in America, probably, and stuff like that. I hope they don't do that. If they do, I hope it's like, limited, because I kind of do want them to keep it on that side, and because I'm sure there's loads of different, stories and characters that they could explore to do Black Panther, all in that, in that area.
Yeah, definitely.
So I would just like to see a bit more of that, But I'm looking forward to it though. Like, I just hope they don't go. I have a feeling that maybe, because this happens a lot with second films, I feel like the second film might not be as strong as the first film.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people would argue that Winter Soldier is better than First Avenger.
Most people would probably argue that, to be honest.
And I think they do have Ryan Coogler again.
Okay.
So, which obviously, like the continuation is important for that.
Would you like to see Michael B. Jordan in the second film?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I really liked Killmonger as a character.
Do you not think if he was, it would undercut the first film a little bit?
Not really. I mean, it depends. Like, do you know what? Actually, I feel like if he turned up right at the end or something, then I'd be alright with it. Because I think they should focus in on a different antagonist. But then I think if they do a Black Panther 2, and like you, I would like it to be set more in Wakanda, because I would like to see how do normal Wakandans live, just as a country, as a city, or, is Wakanda the name of the city as well as the country, or all that sort of questions you might have about a nation that, doesn't exist in real life, but, there must be some sort of mythology behind it. But then if they don't do that, which, again, like you, I think they might make it a bit more international, I'd either like to see a focus on the spies they have across the world, or kind of keep it like a political thriller in a sense, and, how his international relations work now that Wakanda is a bit more open to trade. So I think it'd be interesting, and at least Black Panther's going to be in phase 4.
Yeah. Well, so we know he's not dying. Well, we knew he wasn't dying anyway, but, we know now for sure that he's not dying. But I'm trying to think, who would the villain be? If it's not Killmonger, I mean.
Well, the director wanted Kraven the Hunter.
Right.
Which they said no. Like Kevin Feige said no, which I don't know whether he fits into Spider-Man a bit more, but...
I think I remember Chris saying he was a Spider-Man villain.
Okay.
I think.
But then you never know. It could be Daniel Kaluuya's character.
It could be, actually. It could be. And I wouldn't mind that, because...
I mean, his profile as an actor's gone.
Exactly. And I think he's definitely capable of taking on that role. And I feel like he has got a quality in the sense that he plays likable characters, but then obviously, like, he could kind of, like, be like... It's a bit like Loki, like, likable character, but he's doing a shit thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's being a villain, but you can kind of, like, think, oh, I still like this guy, so I kind of want to root for him, but then I kind of don't know. So, like, I can see him doing that. I really do hope he gets... he is in the next film, but I have a feeling that he won't be. I don't know why.
But they could do a kind of Thor plot where T'Challa's so preoccupied outside of Wakanda that his hold on Wakanda becomes a threat because he's not directly there. Yeah. So aren't there like 14 tribes or something? But we only saw like...
There's 5.
Oh, I thought there was
There's
more.
5. There's 5, and the Jabari tribe were the ones that weren't like loyal to the...
Oh, okay.
To the Black Panther or whatever.
So I guess there could be conflict within there. And then sticking with superheroes as we tend to, Kristen Wiig has been confirmed as the villainess for Wonder Woman 2.
Is that Cheetah?
Cheetah.
Right.
So what do you think about Kristen Wiig? 'Cause people saying, oh, comedic actress, like...
Who's Kristen Wiig?
She's in Bridesmaids. She's in a lot of... She's in Anchorman 2.
I can't really picture her.
No?
No.
If I get a picture of her up, I guarantee you'll know who she is.
No, I don't know, as you know.
No?
I actually don't know who that is. No, I have no idea who that is.
Oh, fair enough.
Fair enough, yeah.
She's in a lot of like comedy films. What else was she in recently? Downsizing?
Oh, okay. Who is she in Downsizing?
Did you see Downsizing?
Yeah, I've seen.
She was Matt Damon's wife.
Was she? Oh, okay.
Who doesn't get downsized.
Yeah, she was alright, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess this conversation won't go.
Yeah, no, I've got anything against. Like, obviously, I haven't got anything against her, but I don't really know the actress very well, and I don't know Wonder Woman characters very well. So, you know, I imagine she could give it a good go.
Yeah,
I guess. So, what do we think is going to happen in the second Wonder Woman film?
Well,
I like that they haven't. That it's a female villain as well.
Yeah.
Because there's only been one Hela in these superhero genre films.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch was for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think they're still going to keep it as a period piece. I think it might make it Cold War.
Okay.
Rather than.
I can live with that.
Because I don't think they're ready. Because there's so much of Wonder Woman up until you see her in Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be a mistake to.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that though. Like how she affected different wars and stuff in different period of times, different time periods without people like actually like spotting it. Because anyway, Batman spotted it was because he saw that picture of him and the thing is, oh shit, this could she was in World War One sort of thing. So I like that idea actually if they do it like Cold War sort of thing.
And especially because from what little I recall of Justice League, they didn't split off after that, did they? Unlike Avengers, where they're like, oh yeah,
he basically formed the Justice League officially. Like he bought that house and made like the Hall of Justice. That's that whole story. So yeah, I'm still hoping that somehow Steve Trevor has survived from Chris Pine's character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like he went up into the plane. I feel like they missed because I said this like ages ago when it first came out. I felt they missed the plot. They should have got Flash. I still think this might actually happen. Flash to like run back in time and save him before the plane exploded and bring him back to the future.
But that would create another universe, right?
Oh shit, yeah, maybe it would. I don't know, but they haven't really done.
Plus, he was at least in his 30s in World War One.
Yeah.
So by the time even if
he's got
a proper old man.
Yeah,
he'd be like a Peggy Carter.
No, because all you can do is I don't know. Well, I'm assuming the Flash can probably do this. All you do is run him back in time and then grab hold of him and run back forward in time, so bring him out in the present day, innit? And surprise Diana. Although Diana and Bruce Wayne have a little, so that could create a little,
bit of frisson.
Yeah, little triangle over. But I like Chris Pine, so I hope they bring it back.
Yeah.
What did I see with Chris Pine in it recently? Oh yeah, it was the Unstoppable film.
Did you finish watching it?
Still haven't finished it. It's boring. Do you know what? It's probably one of the worst Denzel Washington films I've watched. It's boring.
Is it worse than Roman J. Israel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like I think they're trying really hard to make it exciting, and it's just not exciting. Like obviously this train is running at breakneck speed, which I get. That's kind of dangerous, I guess. But like I just feel like the concept is super boring. It's just a train. Like I just don't fucking care. I'll try and watch the end of it, but Denzel, get a thumbs down. Yeah, get a thumbs down from Obes over here. Well, and I'm one of your bigger fans.
Well, talking of Denzel not getting his dues, that leads us nicely onto the Oscars.
Yeah.
So the Oscar ceremony happened a few hours after we finished last week's pod. We were no way staying up for that because we have work to do.
Don't care that much.
Yeah, that's true as well. So I guess.
Go on.
What were you gonna say?
So I was gonna say, did you see the thing about Kobe? So Kobe Bryant won an Oscar for his basketball his animated film called Dear Basketball. And it's basically just like a 4-minute film with him talking about how much he loves the game and stuff like that. It's actually quite good and quite touching if you're like a basketball fan, I guess. But obviously it's the whole Me Too and
Time's Up,
all that stuff. So I think 2001 maybe, or maybe 2003, he was accused of raping a woman in I think at an away game or something like that. I think he said something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines of like they did have sex, but it was consensual, and the charges were dropped, or he beat the charges, or one of the two. And obviously people, there's loads of, when I googled Oscars on the day it went, and there was literally just a list of things about Kobe Bryant saying, "Oh, time's up, but not for Kobe Bryant." Da 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 da. And I was just like, can we just let the obviously we don't know if what the allegations are true or false, but he is technically innocent.
True, 100%. If the law, which most countries rely on to kind of serve justice, if he has not had any charges brought against him and he's not been convicted of anything, then you can't bring up people's historical allegations if they've been proven innocent or the charge has been dropped, because that's not fair.
Because they are innocent. Obviously, we don't know, because it is a kind of like, especially in these situations, it is his word against her word most of the time. And obviously, maybe the fact that he was a huge sports star and stuff like that might have influenced the decision. But there's not really a lot else you can do. And I won't guarantee, but I would make a good bet that a lot of the people who were complaining about it probably didn't even know that he was involved in that beforehand, because I only found this out the other day.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a bit.
Congratulations to him, by the way, for winning.
Yeah.
First try. Must be pretty pissed off at other people. Like, actually, this guy's just come along. He's like a national basketball star, won plenty of awards and championships. Says, oh yeah, let me just try and win an Oscar. Wins the first guy. I'm done. I'm out. So, yeah, good for him.
Well, let's go through the major Oscar winners, and we can kind of refresh who the other nominees were. So
my sister was livid that The Greatest Showman didn't win anything. She was livid.
Really?
It's hilarious.
Well,
she loved the film.
The only thing it would potentially have won would be Best Song, which I think was won by Coco for Remember Me, and that's a pretty.
It's a good song, but I prefer Poco Loco.
Poco Loco.
I've got that on my phone still. But yeah, that song's better in my opinion. But yeah, so carry on.
So I guess the big one, Best Picture, was won by Shape of Water.
I think we expected that.
Yeah, I thought it would, because it's more of a, it's a fairy tale, but it's like an adult fairy tale, and it's very kind of.
How would you, in terms of genre, how would you describe it? Because my sister asked me, and I just said it's like a fantasy romance, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, like pure and simple. It's set in like Cold War. It's like the colouring is very kind of blue and it just looks a bit magical and mystical, and obviously the romance between a woman and a fish, merman, which people don't seem that bothered by.
They don't care. I find it so weird that people don't care.
And it just makes me, like, the more films I watch, or the more content I watch, I just realise the human race is actually quite perverse.
Yeah.
It's like in Red Sparrow, with Jennifer Lawrence kissing her uncle.
Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah. And he kissed her back, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to bring it up. But yeah.
It's a bit like,
butters, man.
Okay. And then the Academy are like, yeah, incest, no. Bestiality, yeah.
It's Game of Thrones, mate.
I know.
It's Game of Thrones.
I know. But, so I guess that was worthy winners. It was up against Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour.
I still never watched Call Me By Your Name. I was supposed to watch it, but...
It'll probably be out on DVD soon.
Yeah, I think it is.
Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, and 3 Billboards. So I think it was pretty much between Shape of Water and 3 Billboards.
Yeah. That's not... I'll say it again. I've said it like the past four or five episodes. The category's not strong, in my opinion.
Last year was really strong.
It was very strong, but I don't know. Maybe we'll look back on it and think, oh, actually that film was really good. But, I've obviously seen all those films apart from Call Me By Your Name, I think. And, they were all good. None of them were bad. They were all good. But I wouldn't say anything of them were great.
Outstanding, yeah.
They were outstanding.
Best Actor was won by Gary Oldman, which, again, was no real surprise. Up against Timothée Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, and Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel, Esquire. I think,
I thought he was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think the film was amazing. I didn't think his performance was just a lot of speeches.
No.
I feel like, to an extent, I think Gary Oldman's a very good actor, and I feel like this is, again, one of those, like, culmination ones. It's like...
Has he never won before?
It's like, his body of work was,
has
kind of contributed.
Do we think that's fair?
No, I don't think so. Because they have like lifetime awards for that. You know, they'll give it to like Jackie Chan because he's a great Well, he's been in a lot of successful films, but maybe not the sort of films that get Oscar nominated. But and again with like Leo DiCaprio, like he deserves to win an Oscar, but not for The Revenant, in my opinion. So there are instances of actors having won Oscars and the rest of their films are crap, or you know, a lot of their films aren't great, like Nicolas Cage. So
what do you win an Oscar for?
I think a film called Raising Arizona, which I've not seen. I think.
Have you seen the trailer for? You might not have because it was before game night. But it's called Mum and Dad.
Yeah, I've seen the.
Have you seen it? It was bloody weird.
It's mental. I really want to see it.
Yeah, that looks bloody strange. So if anyone doesn't know, basically it's this film about, I don't know what happens, but all the parents in, I don't know if it's in the city or in the neighborhood, just start wanting to kill their children. And the trailer just shows Nicolas Cage and who plays the mum?
Selma Blair.
That's it, Selma Blair. Just start going nuts trying to kill their children, and they're like, it's just super weird. But yeah, I might go and watch it because it looks kind of interesting.
It's in Bromley.
Is it?
Yeah. Is it like I'm getting on your hype with the fuck Beckham Odeon thing? Like, who schedules the films for that? Because it's just the most generic. You know, there's no diversity of.
They're still showing Greatest Showman. It came out on Boxing Day, and they're still showing it almost 3 months later. It's crazy. Who's paying for this?
I know. So then actress in the leading role was won by Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards. Again, probably not a surprise. Up against Sally Hawkins for Shape of Water, Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird, and Meryl Streep for being Meryl Streep.
It's probably deserved, I would say.
Yeah. And she had quite a powerful way of kind of supporting the Me Too movement because when she accepted her award, she asked every female who had been nominated to stand up. And she didn't explain why, but I think it was, people said it's potentially to highlight how few people are nominated, you know.
Question. Oh, what? Was this every female who been nominated for any category?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
In the Oscars.
Okay, cool.
Why, what were you going to say?
I thought it was just for her category. And I would say, if I was one of the women who got nominated but didn't win, I wouldn't want to fucking stand up. I'd be like, fuck you, I didn't win. I'm not standing up. I'm pissed me off. But yeah, okay. I get the sentiment.
Actor in supporting role was won by Sam Rockwell for 3 Billboards, against Christopher Plummer for Not Being Kevin Spacey, Richard Jenkins for The Shape of Water, Woody Harrelson for 3 Billboards, and Willem Dafoe for your favourite, The Florida Project.
I would have given it to Willem Dafoe to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was the best thing about that film. But I think that's a really weak category, that one, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Richard Jenkins' performance in The Shape of Water. I thought he, encapsulated like his role as like a closeted gay man in the 60s or whenever it was set, and he was a very sympathetic performance. Woody Harrelson again, but I think he was nominated because his character commits suicide. That's like a dramatic bait thing. And Christopher Plummer basically because he turned his performance around in about 3 hours. Actress in a supporting role was won by Alison Janney for I, Tonya, which I think was very well deserved. She was up against Mary J. Blige from Mudbound.
Why?
Leslie Manville for Phantom Thread, Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, and Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water.
Who's Laurie Metcalf? See the mom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was good.
She was alright.
Interesting fact is Leslie Manville used to be married to Gary Oldman and they have a son together, and so this boy, both his parents were Oscar nominated on the set. It's just like, he better become a sick actor.
He probably
will. He's disappointment.
That's how it goes though, isn't it? Like, even like, to use a football term, if you're like, normally like the sons of famous footballers aren't great footballers.
Yeah,
or they're never anyone
brother.
Or they're never anyone as good as their dad.
Like Justin Kluivert.
Can you think of any actors whose dad was good and the son's really good as well?
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. His dad's Donald Sutherland.
Who's Donald Sutherland?
He's an old actor, but he was in a TV show called like Dirty Sexy Money or something. He's been in a few films.
Don't think I've heard.
And then Dakota Johnson, who's in 50 Shades. Her dad is Don Johnson. He's in a lot of like.
Okay.
He's in a couple of Tarantino films. He's in that Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Okay. Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
He was good in Pursuit of Happiness when he was like 5 years old.
Yeah. I think there are quite a few examples, but Yeah, certainly. Like, I think Clint Eastwood's son is
yeah.
appearing in films, but not, not leading roles.
Isn't he directing a film that's coming out very
The
soon?
1517 to Paris or something?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
Or was that Clint Eastwood doing it?
Clint, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently that film's not very good.
I wanted to see it, but yeah, I heard the reviews weren't great. So and
It was about a terror incident on a train.
It was. I thought it was about. Oh, okay.
Like, what you...
I thought it was about. Do you remember a couple of years ago when that thing in France, with the football when France were playing football and they had the bomb and people were like running around and shit. And like 2015, I think it was 2015.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. I might
Maybe
be wrong,
it was that.
but I just assumed that it was about that.
It was about some sort of terror incident.
Right.
But I know that he got the people who... So rather than have actors play the people, they got the people back to play themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which apparently doesn't work.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it would.
No.
Why would you want to relive that sort of incident as well if you're
That's weird.
if you're a survivor of that?
That's weird.
So yeah, I think that's
None of them are actors as well. So
Yeah.
it's just not going to turn out good.
so that's a bit of a misstep.
Yeah.
And probably which I think
I admire the thinking outside the box though with that. But obviously it's not a very good idea. But I admire the thinking behind it.
Best animated film was won by Coco.
Jeez.
I feel like this is always like the least competitive category because you've got the likes of The Boss Baby and Ferdinand in there.
I heard Boss Baby was terrible.
Yeah,
I think it was Chris who said it was
I
terrible.
think they're like, oh, let's think 3 animated American films that came out in the last year and we'll Oscar nominate them. Like,
I'm surprised they didn't nominate that. Oh no, that came out in 2018. Was it Early Man?
oh yeah, that might be up next year. I don't know.
Probably will be, to be honest. But yeah, animated films. I don't know. Just like nobody really cares about animated films because nobody really watches them. No, well, people who vote for Oscars probably don't regularly watch animated films. I don't think anyway. That's why nobody gives a shit.
But then aren't the Academy is made up of hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the industry, and some of them surely would have worked within animation, whether voice acting or which Chris doesn't view as real acting, or
He said, I listened back to an episode not long ago,
tweak,
and he said, "Oh, it's not acting, it's voicing." I was like, "What?" I remember because this is random. I remember because I think we were talking about if voice actors would win Oscars or something like that.
yeah,
something like that.
something like that. Or they should get recognised.
Or people who are in animated films, something like that. And I said no because people don't really like animated films. And then Chris kind of latched onto my point. He kind of agreed with it and then said, "Oh yes, because they're not really actors." And I was like, "Don't associate me with that point because I don't agree." Oh, that was funny, man. I want to listen back to the episode again. That was jokes. Shout out, Chris.
So best director was won by Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water, which I guess considering it won Best Picture is well deserved. The other nominees were Paul Thomas Anderson for why do I keep saying Phantoms? Phantom Thread. Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, Jordan Peele for Get Out, and Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk. Again, interestingly, I think it was Emma Stone handed out this award, and she highlighted that Greta Gerwig was the only female nominated. I think she said the 4 male nominees and Greta Gerwig or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And someone, I can't remember who, so apologies for not being able to give you credit, but they mentioned that Jordan Peele and Guillermo del Toro are people of colour in the sense that they're not white Americans. So is that doing them a disservice, do you think? But I know Me Too and Time's Up is about female equality, but surely the conversation at these things, especially as not very long ago there was Oscars So White.
Yeah.
Does the conversation need to focus on equality overall, whether that's in terms of sexuality, gender, or race? Because by kind of combining Jordan Peele and Guillermo del Toro, a black, an African American and a Mexican, with a white British and a white American person, that's a bit unfair, do you think? Or
I think it is, but obviously, I would say that the women's movement is kind of in terms of hierarchy, for lack of a better word, it is probably does go white men, other men, and then women. So if for her, for all women and women empowerment and all that stuff, she wants to kind of promote women ahead of people, men of other colour, then I can see it, because obviously I'm not a woman, but if I was a woman, I would be like, yeah, let's get ourselves above on an equal. Let's get ourselves an equal footing to men. Obviously, you want everyone to be equally and everyone to be diverse, but in reality, I think they are behind men in general by quite a bit.
Okay.
I think for her to go.
So you think even like a white woman is behind a black or Latino or Asian man in a Western society?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably, yeah. I think. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wait till we talk about Red Sparrow.
Okay.
Before I talk about the first.
So we should highlight that because it was International Women's Day the other day. So happy International Women's Day for any female listeners and all listeners. We are gonna do a bit of a focus on kind of female-led film and TV this episode. We were hoping to have a female guest on, but unfortunately that hasn't happened.
Unfortunately, she's watching something. She's watching. Oh no, sorry, she's being a recluse. She's
being a recluse.
Sorry, Obi, I'm being a recluse. Okay, sorry.
So, to talk about female films and TV, you have got two males. So, sorry, we. But
I grew up around loads of women, so
of course,
I'm basically.
We realise that our take on things may not be completely representative or. You know, but
what can we do? This is
exactly
this is your average critics,
and we want you to get involved with our conversation. So if you disagree with any of our points, if we've missed out anything important, then do tweet us at YSC Podcast 17. We're on Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, and iTunes under Your Average Critics. And before we move on to that topic, I just want to shout out Jordan Peele for winning an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay.
Good for him.
I'm not sure whether the screenplay was great, but it's obviously a very important. He's the first black person to win an Oscar for screenplay, so you know that was well deserved, and I'm glad that Get Out has got some recognition. So let's talk about Red Sparrow. So this is the film which I should have invited you to, Soz, but you've seen anyway. So it's Jennifer Lawrence. She plays a Russian ballet dancer Dominika, who after a kind of freak accident is no longer able to be a ballet dancer. She's got a creepy uncle played by Matthias Schoenaerts, and he works for the Russian kind of secret service. It's not the KGB, I don't know what they're called now, but he kind of recruits her as a sparrow, which is essentially attractive people or people who can manipulate their subjects through seduction or mental kind of manipulation to kind of ascertain information. And then on the American side, you've got Joel Edgerton, who is an Australian.
Is he?
He's Australian, yeah. I'm pretty sure he is. Who works for the CIA, and it's this whole kind of twists and turns. He wants information from her, she wants information from him.
That's the bit I didn't like about the film, to be honest. I was with it. I was like, yeah, this is decent. And then when it got to like maybe an hour and a half in, I was just like, it was like a 25-minute period where I was like, okay, well, what side is she on? I was so, maybe that's the point of the film. Yeah. I was so, because of, throughout the film, obviously she does her training and stuff, and they send her out.
So there'll be spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers, yeah. They send her out to go and seduce Joel Edgerton's character. What's his name in the film?
Nate.
Nate Nash. They send Dominika to go out and seduce Nate. And I was like, okay, cool. And then from like the first minute, she does the thing where she signs into that porn, she gives her real name.
Yeah.
Not her fake name. So I was like,
yeah.
Okay. I didn't really get that. And then there was a whole back and forth, and I just got super confused as to what side she was on. Maybe that's the point in the film, like to keep you guessing. But I really did not know what was going on. And even the whole swan thing, even that went over my head. I was like, what is happening here? And then that woman got run over. I was like, bloody hell. It was all happening. I was like, oh my god, I'm so confused. But yeah, go on.
See, I actually really like that because I found it really unpredictable.
Right.
So she does her training as a sparrow, and then she gets sent to Budapest. And basically, Nate Nash has a mole within the Russian Secret Service, and he gets into a situation where they were almost found out. He manages to distract the Russian Secret Service from finding out who his mole is, and then he escapes to Budapest. Hence why Dominika, I can't remember what her fake name was.
Like Catalina or something like
yeah.
that.
So then she basically wants to seduce him to find out who the mole is. Then, because she's being manipulated by her uncle in like that's a really weird kind of perverse relationship there. But she basically wants the protection of the US government. So then she sort of double, yeah. And I was confused, but in a good way for me, because even towards the end I was like, so there's a point where she seduces Nate, and but then she's got a tail on her from the Russian Secret Service, and then when she wakes up one morning after having slept with him, Nate's tied to a chair and is basically...
she ties him up. She sees him being strangled, and she ties him up. So then you think, okay, she's on their side.
Exactly. Yeah. And then she double crossed.
Mate, there was that quadruple crossing in this film. It was ridiculous.
But I found it really entertaining, because I wasn't sure which side she was on, and even right at the end, so she finds out who the mole is, but then which I found really clever, is that when she tells the Russian Secret Service president, she says it's her uncle, and then you realise throughout the whole film she's been planting different evidence.
I liked that.
So she not only saves the mole's life, but she kills her uncle, which means that she can keep playing both sides, and I found that really clever. And although I am a male, I've had a lot of problems with the sexual politics within this, because essentially, like, the whole point of a sparrow is, and then not all the sparrows are female, but the whole point is that they're supposed to do whatever their subject wants, and the focus of it is on Jennifer Lawrence. And there are numerous points where I think even her uncle's, because there's a male sparrow who tries to rape her in the shower and he beats her up, and then
she beats him up.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. And basically there's like 3 people all telling her, well, you should have let him have his way with you. And how dare you beat him up because of this? And other points where even the foreign minister in Budapest is like, oh, well, what are you going to do for me? You know, like... And I was just like... I mean, I know that, obviously... I mean, I've heard that the director gave Jennifer Lawrence kind of veto on any scenes that she wasn't comfortable with. He said, you can cut this if you don't want this nudity or blah, blah, blah. So, to an extent, you would imagine Jennifer Lawrence was okay with a lot of this. And considering she's been violated through the photo hack thing, that it would probably be quite quite a sore subject for her.
Yeah.
But even for me, I was a bit like, there's basically the women are objects in this. Like, they're all, I mean, she's heavily sexualized in it. And it's basically... You know, in numerous points throughout the film, it's like, yeah, men should be able to do what they want to you. And it's like, I was a bit, I don't know, what the message for me wasn't anti that enough to warrant the amount of inclusions. I mean, even the first induction of her into being, before she even has her training, is that she's raped by one of the foreign people, and then he gets killed. But she was like, he was inside me, and it's like, you know, they could have killed him long before.
So what I was going to say like 10 minutes ago about Red Sparrow is that I think they did a good job of kind of, I suppose I know they say that they didn't do enough, but they kind of did a good job of showing that she doesn't have to seduce these people to kind of get away. Obviously she kind of did, but she didn't, like, for lack of a better word, she didn't whore herself out, really. In terms of like getting, she was just smart. She was just smarter than everybody else, basically.
Yeah.
And that's how she managed to win, I guess, in inverted commas, in the end, which was good for the film, because I think it would have been a bit, obviously that it wouldn't happen, but it would have been a bit like cheap for her to just like go sleeping around and getting away with it. I kind of like how like James Bond sleeps with like bare people and like kind of has his way with everybody. But
he must have an STD, man.
No, yeah, definitely. But so I wanted to ask you a question. Actually, before I ask the question. One that I found just like not funny, but I was like, what was when the teacher at the Sparrow School was like to that girl, suck this gay guy's dick, And she was like, no, and she started like crying on the floor.
Yeah.
I was like, why are you crying? I was like, why are you crying? And I was like, I found that bit so odd because they said like, oh yeah, most people have like army training background and stuff like that. So I think she must be like a fairly, strong person. She didn't seem it.
But then that girl, because when the headmistress or whatever was going around saying everyone's strengths, her strength was her vulnerability. So maybe
I thought she was saying that to Jennifer Lawrence.
No, it was to that girl. Okay. Your innocence or your vulnerability or something.
Right. Okay, that makes more sense now. But I was thinking at the time, I was like...
But again, within one of those scenes, Jennifer Lawrence comes face to face with the guy who tried to rape her.
Yeah. I liked
and then it was like, fuck him.
Yeah.
And the guy wanted to do her from behind.
Yeah.
She did kind of reclaim her sexuality in the sense that she
took
kind of stripped it and was like, sort of So, I mean, that again was like a reclamation of that. Yeah. But again, I don't think that was, for me, and obviously I could never talk from a female point of view about this, so we'd be keen to hear your thoughts, but there wasn't enough of that because there was that one scene, whereas I can think of 3 or 4 where it was kind of more the other way. But what was your question?
My question was, do you think someone, man or woman, who uses their sexuality to gain advantage or gain power is someone who is actually powerful?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, because I think you can sexuality is very, very subjecective. So, obviously you would seduce me easily, because you're a very attractive person. But
obviously. Thanks, I needed that today.
It's all right. But not everyone. There might be 1 or 2 people in the world, Obi, who are blind to your beauty, and you might not be able to seduce them as easily.
Just 1 or 2.
Exactly. So for one person's beauty is another person's ugly, and also that can wane with age, or not necessarily age, or anything can change that. So I think that's not true.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Jennifer Lawrence's character, that she used her brain more than her body, I suppose.
Yeah.
But one thing, I might be being, I don't know, sexist against men here, I suppose, but I feel like a man sparrow just wouldn't work.
No, because I don't
feel like it would not.
I don't feel like, if a man gets his knob out, women are like,
do you know what I mean? Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, maybe it's different in Russia, I don't know, but I just feel like if a man started trying to seduce a woman the way, this headmistress was telling the woman to seduce the men, I feel like a woman would just be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And also, I think
call the police or something.
There's a very fine line between a man seducing and a man being too
sexually assault.
Exactly, too presumptuous.
Exactly.
So yeah, but I did find it. I thought that all the sparrows would be female because from the trailer, so I was quite interested that there were men. So yeah, I mean, but I did think the film was good. I thought the plot kept me interesting. It was a very long film. But,
it was like 2 hours 20, very long.
But I never could really tell where it was going. And if they continued the series, I would probably watch another one.
Do you know what I didn't like though? I feel like Nate and Dominica had very little chemistry.
Yeah.
I think. And he was like, it seemed he was like, by the end of the film, he was like in love with her sort of thing. And I was like, really? Like, you've had like, 4 scenes together? And like, I suppose you awkwardly had sex in one scene, which was interesting, I guess. But I just didn't buy it. Their love, I suppose. And she I don't know if she actually liked him at all. I don't think she did, because she seemed very cold towards him most of the time. And majority of the time, I thought she was just like playing him.
And again, that's another really good plot point, is because you never know whether she actually likes him or she's just being a sparrow. And he also knows that she's a sparrow.
Yeah.
So
true.
Is he really that naive?
True.
True. So I thought, again, there's a lot of kind of quandary here, like what's going on. I did feel like he was very underdeveloped, Nate, because there's a point where they're giving Dominica a brief about him, and they say, oh yeah, he watches a lot of pornography, and a lot of it's threesomes with 2 men and a woman, and there's some other points about his kind of habits. And I was thinking,
he hires prostitutes, but he overpays them or something because he was guilty or something like that.
I wasn't sure whether they were lying about that, because you don't see any of that in the actual portrayal of him. Like, he seems like a really meek person, and you know, I feel like if they wanted to reinforce that about him, he would have suggested another man in their relationship or whatever. But it was just kind of a really throwaway comment. Yeah, no, I thought it was a
good film though.
Good film.
Would you rate it out of 10?
6.5.
Okay.
7? No, I wouldn't push a 7. 6.5.
I'd say I would say like a 6.5, 7. I think it was decent. I probably wouldn't watch it again, but it was a good film.
Yeah. Did you discuss Game Night last week?
Yeah, briefly. There's not really enough to talk about that film, to be honest. Decent film though.
Okay. Well, on the subject of female sexual empowerment, you've watched Secretary.
Oh yeah.
It's a bit of a from the archive.
Yeah, it's 2002 the film was made. So yeah.
Jeez, that was when Lady Bird was set, so it's ancient history.
Yeah, man. So Secretary is got Maggie Gyllenhaal in it, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the same guy who plays. Have you ever seen the Blacklist?
No, but is it Christian Slater? No.
I don't know. I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who plays Raymond Reddington in the Blacklist. Can't remember his name, but super weird because he's a lot thinner and he's got hair, so it looks strange. Okay. So yeah, it's about this girl, young woman who just gets released from, I think, a mental institution, and I think she's got basically she cuts herself whenever she's stressed out, and I think the stress develops from, I think her dad is an alcoholic, and he abuses their mum or abused their mum. I don't know if it was like, because we only saw him push her to the floor, so I don't know if that was like a one-off or if he was like punching her up and stuff. I don't know. But you see, basically, she gets out of a mental institution, and every time she gets a little bit stressed out, she tries to cut herself, or what happened? She was boiling tea. She was boiling the kettle, sorry, to make tea, I think, or coffee. And then her dad was like drunk and he got in a rage and he pushed his mum to the floor, and then he stormed at the house. So then she took the kettle and slapped it on her thigh, burned herself and shit. I was like, fucking hell. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So she's kind of like trying to adjust to life outside of the institution. So she tries to get a job. She goes to a college to learn how to type and stuff. So she gets a job as this guy secretary. This is I'm gonna call him Raymond Reddington because I don't know his fucking name. So yeah, she gets a job at his law firm. When she walks in the door, there's like shit all over the place, like everything everywhere was a mess, and I'm assuming the old secretary who's just been fired is running out the door crying. Okay. So she's like, okay.
James Spader.
That's it.
Plays Mr. Grey.
Yeah. So I thought it was a 50 Shades of Grey thing. So, but it's not. But what was I gonna say? Sorry. Yeah. So she walks into the office and he's like fixing his hair or whatever, whilst this woman, his old secretary's like crying and like everything's smashed up, he's like fixing his hair. And then they kind of like have an interview, I suppose, which is where it's not really an interview. You kind of ask her dumb questions like, are you pregnant? Do you plan to get pregnant? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you live at home? Do you live in a house? Stuff like that. And obviously she answers the questions, and then he kind of like says to her, he just like looks her up and down and says, okay, go make me coffee. And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, go make me coffee. And then she gets a job, whatever. So she's like working in this place for a few months. At the same time, she's like seeing this guy who they used to go to school together. She's like dating this guy, and basically, she's making like mistakes and stuff because like they only use typewriters in this law firm. It's only like a one-person law firm, but they only use typewriters, and she's like making mistakes and shit. And I'm just gonna skip to the interesting bit because there was a lot of kerfuffle in the middle that I just didn't really care about. So she makes a mistake, and he's got like a. Sorry, this bit made me laugh. I don't know why. He has like loads of red pens on his desk, yeah, and he uses the red pens to correct like spelling mistakes and stuff like that. And he says to her, he's like, oh yeah, come to my office sort of thing. He's like, look at all these mistakes you've made. And she's like, oh, I'm really, really sorry. And then he's like, okay, put your elbows on the desk and bend over and read the letter to me. So she's like, what? And he repeats himself. So she starts reading the letter and he just starts spanking her, yeah? And she's like, she's your face.
Bloody hell. So that escalated quickly.
Yeah, I'm skipping to about an hour in.
Hang on, the first question, is this consensual?
I mean, no.
Oh, okay, that's problematic.
Well, Oh, sorry. Let me quickly add a little bit in the middle because that's quite an important bit. So she gets really stressed out at work at one point, I think, because she's fucking up and people keep answering the phone. She wasn't sure what to do. So she gets out. She's got like this little like sewing kit which she used to cut herself, which she brought to work. And she brought it out of work and starts like she starts to cut herself. And then Mr. Grey walks out and sees her, and he like looking at her like, what the fuck? And she just kind of like packs it all up like very quickly and just like doesn't make any eye contact with him, blah blah blah. And then maybe like the next scene or 2 scenes later, they have a chat, and he basically says, "You're gonna stop cutting yourself from now on." And then this spanking thing happens, and so he spanks her the one time, and she looks back at him like, "What the fuck are you doing?" sort of thing. And then he says, "Read it again." She reads it again. Spanking her says, "Read it again," and she's just reading through his letter, and he's just like fucking going to town on her ass, yeah. And she's like, you can tell at this point, I think she's enjoying it. And then they kind of like hold hands sort of thing. And then she goes to the toilet, and her ass is like purple basically from all the fucking spanking, and he's like, because he's obviously like exacerbated from all the spanking. And so basically that him spanking her and hurting her is her replacement for her cutting herself basically. So she stops cutting herself, and he's like, that's the replacement for it, I guess. And this goes on for a while, like, the red notes. I think she started intentionally making mistakes just so she could start getting spanked and shit. And then at the same time as this, she's like still kind of going out of her boyfriend, I guess. I suppose he's a kind of a boyfriend, so a bit of a moral quandary there. But he's alright, moral quandary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for me. And so what happens? So she sees her dad, and her dad fucked off like at the beginning of the film, and basically gone on a massive bender. And I'm assuming the dad's like just like a massive alcoholic, and he ends up in hospital basically. She sees her dad in hospital. She gets really upset, goes to Mr. Grey's house, and is like really hesitant to. She wants like someone to hug, take care of her, whatever. But she's really hesitant to say that, and she's kind of just like standing outside his door, like pouring in the rain, and he's kind of like, "What do you want?" sort of thing. At the same time, you can kind of tell that he's kind of like he kind of wants her to say it, but he doesn't say anything either, and she doesn't say anything. So then she just like makes up some sort of excuse, and then he just closes the door on her, and she goes away, and then he stops spanking her. And she like trying to do everything in her power to get him, just like making bare mistakes, like knocking shit over. I think she's and like nothing's working basically, and he's just like properly ignoring her. And then I don't know why I didn't get this, but she sees a worm in her front garden, and she sticks the worm on a bit of paper and puts it in an envelope and puts it on his desk. I don't know. And then he opens it and sees the worm. And I missed that bit as well. So this bit's just funny. So she starts like she's in her room and she's like fantasizing about him, and she's just got one of his red pens, and she's just looking at the red pen. And she's just like going to town, like masturbating and stuff like that. That was pretty funny. And she's like calling him up and stuff. So this guy's like very like dominant, like do what I say sort of thing. She's like calling him up, like telling her what her mum's cooking for dinner, and she's like, "Oh, what should I eat?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have like 1 spoon of mashed potatoes. You're gonna have 4 peas and like I don't know, some sort of meat or whatever." And you just see her eating like there's literally 4 peas on a plate and 1 tiny scoop of potatoes, and she's eating like 1 pea at a time, and the rest of her family's looking at her like, "What the fuck is she doing?" I was cracking up.
This sounds a lot like 50 Shades of Grey, like a male like domination in a BDSM relationship.
Yeah, but well, that's pretty much what it is.
James, you have got no fucking originality.
I've never seen 50 Shades, so I can't compare, but
it's a bit spanky.
Yeah. So so then fast forward, she does the worm thing, and that's for some reason that turns him on. I don't know why.
Wow.
So he kind of like gets his pen out, his red pen out, because he gets his red pen out and circles the fucking the worm like 13 times, which I think is a bit of like phallic imagery. And shout out me do year 10, I know them words. And he like calls her into the office, and he's like he's like bend up, do the bend over thing. She bends over thinking like, oh yeah, he's gonna spank me now. And then he's like, pull down your skirt, and she's like, what? And he's like, don't worry, I'm not gonna fuck you. Literally says, don't worry, I'm not gonna fuck you. And she's like, okay, pulls down the skirt. Then he says, okay, now pull down your pantyhose and pull down your knickers, whatever. Does that. And he just starts wanking. And he just starts wanking, yeah. And like, I think he jizzes on her back.
What?
He jizzes on her back. And then she like goes to
What website did you watch this on?
Oh, it's Brazzers. No. she like, he jizzes on her back, yeah. And then that's it. She was like, oh. And he's like, okay, you can go now. Just go straighten yourself up and whatever. Yeah, I know. She goes to the toilet, sees the jizz on her back, and then she has, what has she got? She got one of her letters, one of the letters that have got loads of like red circles on it from all the mistakes that she's made. And she just like pins it up in the toilet wall and she starts masturbating. She's like...
Oh my God.
And she's like, she's masturbating. Obviously, she keeps saying his name and she keeps saying like... She keeps saying like stuff like, oh, one scoop of mashed potatoes, 4 p's and stuff like that. And then there's the woman in the next cubicle who works in his company, and she's just like sitting there like, what is going on?
Jeez.
And she's proper going for it.
Is this a comedy film?
I think it's supposed to be a comedy as well as well as a drama. And she's like going for it. And she climaxes and whatnot. And then he realizes he's got jizz on his trousers.
This definitely wasn't a theatrically released film.
He realizes he's got jizz on his trousers and gets really angry. And he's like, alright, fuck this, we're not doing this anymore. And he's like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. And she gets he like writes her a letter and stuff like that. He fires her because I think he thinks he's like he thinks quite lowly of himself at this point because he's like, oh, I'm a degenerate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, she says to her, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. You're fired. Blah 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 blah. And obviously he like smashes everything up in the office. So then it kind of flashes back to the beginning when the office was all smashed up and the woman ran out of the office crying. So then that was her this time. So yeah, she gets fired. Her boyfriend proposes to her, even though she clearly doesn't like this guy. And she just says yes just for the sake of it. Excuse me. Sorry. She just says yes just for the sake of it. Fast forward, I don't know how long. She maybe a month or two, and she's like trying on this wedding dress, and she's like, oh, I don't want to marry this guy. Throws the ring down on the table, runs back to the office, and basically like professes her love to Mr. Grey, and he's like not having it. He's like, this wouldn't like we can't do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or whatever. Like the whole love thing, and she's like, why don't we just try? And he like, what does she do? I don't know. She says something, and like he goes, okay, sit in my chair, put your hands on the desk, keep your feet on the floor. And she's like, cool. And then he's like, I'll be back soon. Leaves the room, walks out to the back window. So he's just staring at her through the back window, watching. She literally just stayed still, hands on the desk, feet on the floor. Calls her fiance, I suppose, at that point, and says, yeah, your wife is, or your fiance is in my office. Her boyfriend comes to the office. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, go away. And then she's like, oh, I don't want to marry you, sort of thing. And he's like, what are you doing? Just talk to me. And he like says, take your hands off the desk and talk to me. And he like kind of like grabs her off the desk onto the floor. And she's like screaming like, no! And she like knees him in the balls, goes back to the desk, hands on the desk, feet on the floor. And she's like, I don't want you, get out. And she's saying, get out, get out, get out. And I was like, at this point, I felt really bad for the boyfriend. Because I was thinking like, this is something that'll make you like try and murder somebody. I'm just saying. But obviously that didn't happen. But would have been interesting if it did. But yeah, so he leaves. We don't see him again, and she's basically just stuck at this desk. I'm sweating. It's hot in it. She's basically stuck at this desk for I think it's like 3 days, and she's like pissing herself, not eating, barely sleeping, and it shows like loads of people coming to see her, like asking like what she's doing and stuff like that. So, like her dad, her mum, her sister's husband. And loads of different people. They like a news truck is like pulls up outside, and the court says that she's on a hunger strike. Then like they don't know why, and he's just Mr. Grey is just like watching all this shit on the news and reading the newspaper, and I think he reads a quote that she got from a reporter, something about love and taking chances and stuff like that, blah blah blah. So then he goes back to the office, whisks her off her feet, and babes her and shit, and they get together. Get married and live happily ever after, I suppose. But then she's still kind of like does little things that she never piss him off, so she like gets spanked and shit. So yeah, and then it ends.
Fucking hell, that was intense.
Yeah.
How does the film treat the themes of mental illness and consent?
I suppose not well. I mean, mental illness. I mean, it doesn't really do anything for it because obviously she starts the film with an illness, I suppose, and she does by the end of the film. I suppose she doesn't have it anymore. I guess she doesn't cut herself anymore. So I suppose.
But she still has the dependency on the pain.
Exactly. So.
And it's to her detriment if she's willing to sit at a desk and wee herself and stuff.
So I guess not very well. And then the whole men vs best woman thing, again, not very well because she's literally like, I don't know how it was after they got married, but up to that point before he came back and whisked her off her feet and whatnot, she was just completely dependent on this man, what he said. I'm going to do what you say. Whatever, it doesn't matter what you say, I'm going to do it. Like, he was like, oh, yeah, go get this letter out for me from the bin. She like jumped into a massive bin, just like searching through the fucking thing for a letter. And then she brings the letter to him and he's like, oh, don't worry, I thought I remembered it on my head, I'll just write it back down. She was like, oh, okay.
He sounds like a prick.
Yeah, he is. He's a weirdo. He's a weirdo. Things about a film. I can understand why she was. I can understand her angle. Obviously, like, you know, replacing the being beaten and stuff like that with replacing the cutting herself. I get that, but I just don't understand why he was the way he was. I didn't really get it. There was a woman who, like, right in the beginning of the film, who came, and I think it might have been his ex-wife. I'm not sure. But she looked at Maggie Gyllenhaal and she just shouted submissive, and I was like, oh.
Oh, right, okay.
And so then that was a bit weird, I guess. And he, Mr. Grey, kept pictures of all of his secretaries or something like that. So I think he's done this to quite a lot of people. Maybe I think he
definitely sounds like 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, so I think he like basically like, you know, till he does whatever he wants to these women, like does the whole dominant submissive thing, gets bored, fires him, gets in a new one sort of thing. But then I suppose this one's stuck, I guess.
It sounds problematic from a gender politics point of view.
Yeah, but it's 2002. What are you gonna do?
I know. It's weird. I feel like there's definitely a lot more awareness about this sort of stuff. You know, because I don't know what the reception was like back then, but you know, we were discussing Red Sparrow and like how that was a little bit problematic, especially during the whole Me Too Time's Up thing. So that's yeah.
But I suppose if from the point, because obviously the first time he did it, he spanked her and whatnot. Obviously she didn't see it coming, so she didn't consent to it. But then after that, I feel like she was fully consenting to it because she was deliberately trying to get herself spanked. Yeah. So I guess after that it was okay. I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I won't watch that film again.
No.
It's fucking weird.
I watched a female-led film today called Raw, which is a French-Belgian cannibal horror film. Okay. It follows Justine, who is just starting her freshman year. She's in her freshman year at veterinary college, where her sister is in her, what would the Americans call it, sophomore year?
That's
second year. Oh, fucking Americanisms. Yeah, so, but the key point here is that she's a vegetarian, and that's her whole family's vegetarian, that's established. So basically part of the whole hazing ritual, you know, like the initiation into being a freshman or a rookie as they call it, is that, you know, they get doused in animal blood and they're forced to eat a raw rabbit kidney. Oh, yeah. Everyone does it. And then when it gets to Justine's turn, she says, no, you know, I'm a vegetarian, I don't want to eat anything to do with meat. Yeah. Why she wants to become a vet is never really explained. I feel like there's a suggestion it's to help animals, but that's not explored, which I think is probably to the detriment of the film. But anyway, she sees her sister Alexa, and my French is terrible. And, you know, she says, oh, you know, you're a vegetarian, why don't you know, did you do this? She goes, oh, I'm not a vegetarian anymore, but yeah, you know, do it. So she eats this raw, and again, spoilers here, eats this raw rabbit kidney. And then from that point, she develops a hunger.
Oh, doesn't she stop eating people?
Yes.
I think I've heard about this film before.
Yeah.
So yeah, spoiler. Sorry.
So she, she wakes up the next day with this huge rash all over her, and she's like itching. And she gets this cream from the doctor, and then she starts like on the sly like eating meat. She's got a gay roommate called Adrian, who kind of supports her in this, and he's like, you want to eat meat, fine, but whatever. So she does it in secret, and then she starts eating raw chicken, which anybody knows will give you salmonella, or potentially give you salmonella. So then throughout the film it kind of escalates exactly, to the point where she kind of rediscovers her relationship with her sister, and then her sister's basically like, oh, you're so prudish and inexperienced. It's established that Justine's a virgin, and then like Justine is she doesn't shave her armpits and she doesn't wax her bikini line. So Alexa's like, you need to do that. So she's like, I will give you a Brazilian. So she starts to give her a Brazilian, and then there's a point where the wax doesn't come off the skin, so Alexa gets scissors to cut it, but Justine feels uncomfortable and ends up like kicking by accident, and somehow the scissors chop her sister's finger off, and then the sister's passed out, and Justine decides to eat the finger, at which point Alexa wakes up.
What's her eating the finger?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's not like, the fuck you eating my finger for?
Yeah.
So at this point I was thinking, I bet Alexa's also a cannibal. And that it does turn out that she is. And then it just gets like progressively worse. Like,
Alexa's her sister?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So, then they start to have these, they start falling out, and
why do they fall out?
Because at one point, so Justine gets really drunk with Alexa, and Alexa takes her to the morgue. So there's a morgue nearby, and there's a human body in there, and she's like baiting her with the body, being like, oh, eat this, and it seems that Justine only has the real craving for flesh when she's either drunk or aroused, and within the film they're normally kind of intrinsically linked, and then someone ends up filming this baiting, and obviously she gets really embarrassed because everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? So then she ends up trying to like beat her sister up, and then her sister bites a chunk out of her cheek, and I was like, okay. And then
What, eats it?
she doesn't, but she's like licking the blood and stuff. And then there's a point where basically Alexa shows Justine how to feed, where they kind of dart out in front of a car and pretend to be hit, and the car crashes and kills the driver, and then they eat the driver.
Fucking hell. Alright. It's a horror film.
Yeah, it's horror in the sense that all this is horrific.
Right,
I mean, it's more of like a drama, coming of age. It's your favourite phrase. So yeah, so how does it turn out? Oh yeah, so throughout the whole film, Justine's relationship with Adrian kind of becomes a little bit flirty. Like, he's openly gay, but she's never had sex or never had experience, and I think she feels safe with him, so they end up having sex. And she keeps trying to like bite him, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then like right at the last part of the film, she wakes up and Adrian's dead, and his like whole thigh's been eaten, like all the bone stuff's exposed. And she thinks it's her, but then she sees Alexa like sitting there like in like a really like, when you've got a food coma, she's like that. She's like, oh, so full. And then Alexa ends up getting arrested, and then the last scene is at the dinner.
Why'd she get arrested?
Oh, because she killed Adrian.
Oh, who called the police on her? Or who called her?
Oh, it was like,
How'd she get caught?
That's not really explained, but I guess the dead bodies, they don't cover it up.
Right, okay.
And the last scene is Justine and her two parents around the dinner table. And both her parents are vets as well. And the dad's like, "Don't worry, it's not your fault." And he goes, "It's not Alexa's fault either." And she's like, "What?" And then he opens his shirt, and he's got chunks of flesh missing. And he's like, "Me and your mother made it work, so I'm sure you'll find a solution." So the implication is that through the female part of the family, they're all cannibals. or have cannibalistic instincts. And yeah, I thought that was quite a good twist. But for me, the film, it was very, very well received when it was released, but I was a little bit disappointed because it's not as gory as you might think. Like, a lot of the stuff is implied, or there's very little sight of people eating other people for probably obvious reasons. And I understood the allegory of it. So when Justine, again, like with that film Veronica I talked about last week, the more she develops sexually, the more kind of cannibalistic craving she has. And they get, like, that's quite a well-worn trope, is, when the woman becomes sexual, she's dangerous. And, actually, and there's lots of films like Teeth, and even to an extent like the Alien franchise is about the sexual woman consuming the male, like literally. But I think there was a lot of that was a bit underdeveloped. So, like, a lot of the characters are quite underdeveloped, and in a really morbid way, I would have liked to have seen a bit more of the extreme side of things. But it was quite a good film. The allegory works, whether it's not particularly original in that respect. But yeah, I would, as a female-led film, it was good.
Yeah.
It was, there was no kind of problematic issues from any sort of sexual point of view.
It sounds weird.
It is.
When was it made?
Last year. Yeah. It was Mark Commode's Film of the Year.
Okay.
Which, shout out anyone who listens to Wittertainment. Obviously this podcast's better. But yeah, so what would you say is your favourite female-led film or TV franchise? And do you think that there is becoming more parity in terms of, female-led pieces of work?
Well, my favourite, I don't know, because I feel like I watch more female-led shows than the average male. I think.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
So you watch things like Getting Away with Murder and.
Yeah, I Had to Go with Murder, Scandal. Also, I used to watch Charmed back in the day, Desperate Housewives, The 100, The Good Wife. All good TV shows, actually. What's my favourite? I'll tell you what, the first 2 seasons of The 100 were really, really, really good. But it's kind of gone a bit downhill since then. And same Had to Go with Murder. The first 2 seasons are really, really good. But then it's gone kind of downhill since then. So my favourite... I don't know, I'm going to say my favourite is Desperate Housewives.
Okay.
Because they always kept me guessing. I was
yeah?
Like, oh, there's always some sort of mystery, and I was like, oh, okay. That's what's happening this week. But yeah, so yeah, that was a good one. I when I went to uni, I literally binged like 4 seasons of that in about 4 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that series. That series is good. The Good Wife I never actually finished, but apparently it was good. It's a strong finish. But then even a lot of these things actually I watch and then I get like a few seasons in and it kind of like wanes.
What about The Good Place?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I suppose that's female. The Good Place is good. I don't think it's my favourite, but it's good. Like I rarely watch. I feel like I watch a lot more. Maybe it's just because I watch a lot more male programs than female. I don't know, but I rarely watch female programs that are crap.
Okay.
Whereas there's a lot of male programs where I'll watch a couple episodes and this is rubbish.
Is that maybe because there just simply are a lot more, so the percentage,
probably
like the likelihood of...
Probably.
Because did we both start watching that?
Queen of the South.
Queen of the South, that was a bit... Yeah. Okay. But of the female-led TV, what sort of TV you watch, do you feel like the types of characters, the types of genre, are they different enough, or are they, is it quite similar in a sense? That because the example, because I don't know what they're like, but I feel like things like How to Get Away with Murder and The Good Wife, and the portrayal of is it Jessica in Suits? They were like
Jessica, yeah, sorry, yeah.
The vision of a successful female woman might be quite similar.
yeah, there are similar aspects, but I think Jessica from Suits, in comparison to the other characters, I feel is much more underdeveloped than the rest of them.
Okay, probably because she's not the lead.
Yeah, because she's not the lead. But like, whereas TV shows like The Good Wife and Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder, actually in particular, they do very well to make their characters more well-rounded and show obviously they have massive strengths, but they also have massive weaknesses as well. So like the last season of How to Get Away with Murder, last season and a bit, How to Get Away with Murder is basically like Annalise Keating, who's played by Viola Davis. Basically, she's like this massive sick lawyer basically, and like she basically becomes an alcoholic like in season 2, start season 3, and basically her reputation just goes like down the toilet, and she's like continuously like struggling. She has to like go to therapy and stuff like that to help her addiction and stuff like that, and it kind of shows that like, okay, she's not just like Superwoman, like she's actually like got flaws, and she has to work on herself, and she's not always the most likable character and stuff like that. Same with Scandal as well, but to a lesser extent. So I think they do well in that way to kind of like show that this character has depth.
But how are these women presented in terms of the the costumes they wear? Because, and again, my frame of reference is not very wide, but from Suits, things like that, all the women seem to wear they're all slim, and they wear tight fitting dresses, like office attire. In a sense, they're not sexualized, but they are definitely accentuated.
I would agree with that, but then I watch a lot of TV shows that are quite similar, so like quite like political, lawyery sorts of things. So they all kind of do like wear suits and shit.
Yeah.
So like, whereas actually Scandal, I'm just trying to think. So the Kerry Washington Scandal, she rarely ever wears a dress.
Okay.
She pretty much always wears trousers. So like she's the exception to the rule, but I would say generally they all do kind of wear like like tight dresses.
But is Kerry Washington's character depicted as more tomboyish or anything like that? No? Okay.
No.
So there's a fairly, there's a diversity within the representation of women.
And even like something like The 100 and like Desperate Housewives definitely plays up to like that, sexy housewife type dress and all that stuff, that stereotype.
That's probably the era.
Yeah. But The 100, I think, does divert away from that. Everyone, male or female, kind of dresses the same.
Okay.
Because of the setting that they're in. It's like a dystopian sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, there's a bit of a disparity in that. But, yeah, I would argue that from the shows I watch as a whole, they do tend to dress quite similar. But I think that's more down to the genre that I watch rather than the females in it.
The obvious one that comes to my head, and probably more because it's season 2 has just been released, so it's top of mind, is Jessica Jones. So the Netflix superhero one. I'm not saying it's my favourite, I'm just saying that's probably the one that is most
I never actually finished.
prevalent in my memory.
I haven't finished season 1 yet.
It's alright. I mean, I haven't started season 2. I'm sure Chris probably has, and we can talk about it next week. But I find it interesting how I feel like her character is actually quite typically what you would expect from a male. So she's a private eye.
I agree.
Private eyes are always alcoholics. They always have failed sexual relationships.
Yeah.
But she's quite in charge of her sexuality, especially in the first season with Luke Cage. She does have like issues like opening up and basically just breaking down those gender stereotypes. Which I think is good. Is good. I'm not saying Jessica Jones is a great TV show because I don't. Yeah, I think it's good, but it's not amazing. Yeah. I'm sure there are better examples out there, but it's definitely a difference in the way that females are represented. But then what about films? So we've spoken about 3 there. Yeah. 2 of them, all of them about sex in one way or another.
Yeah, I think that's quite bad when you think about it. I was saying to you earlier that I'm actually struggling to think of in terms of films. I watch a lot of female TV shows, but I've probably watched a lot of female-led films, but none of them have stuck in my memory that I can think of anyway. Really.
Yeah, we've got let's think of the last year. Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But that is a pre-existing property.
Mm.
Then you had the film Jackie.
Yeah. Wait, which with
Jackie Kennedy.
Yeah. There was Hidden Figures.
Yeah, Hidden Figures.
That was good actually. That was really good.
Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch that, but yeah.
That wasn't very good.
No.
Well, that wasn't great.
Oh. I was trying to think like what would be my favourite. I probably should have thought of this beforehand, but I generally can't.
I found Black Swan very good.
Yeah.
At the time I watched it. But again, that's about kind of developing sexuality and stuff. Like the only one out of the few that we've mentioned where, Atomic Blonde, there's kind of sexual scenes within that as well. Hidden Figures is the only one out of those examples that where it's about their intelligence rather than their body.
I liked Honey. That was good. Have you seen Honey?
No, is that like a dance?
Jessica Alba, yeah, it's a dance thing, yeah.
Again, that's quite provocative, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess.
It was good though. God. I don't know. I think we'll have to come back to this one. I might have to take time to try and make a list of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've probably seen loads, but I just can't think of them right now. It's quite bad actually, on my part. But
I guess obviously Lady Bird.
Yeah. Lady Bird as well.
And that's directed by a woman, so that's
double whammy.
Yeah, I guess even like films directed by women, I've seen very few, considering, and I know it's very few as well, but on the whole, like I can't think off the top of my head of very many female directors, and I know the film You'll Never Really Hear is directed by a woman, but I wouldn't have known that unless I'd seen a film by Lynn Ramsey.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, well, we'll definitely have to make. Hopefully, when Joe and Chris are back on the pod, if we can get a guest on, we can definitely.
Hopefully, because there must be plenty.
Yeah.
But honestly, with like directors and stuff, I'm not that great at remembering like directors' names and shit like that.
So from what you know and watch, would you say there's more, to an extent, more equality on TV for female-led shows or?
There's more equality, yeah, but I wouldn't say it was equal.
No.
But I would say there was definitely more.
It's better than film.
Yeah, definitely. I think so anyway.
But do you think that's because of maybe, well, it probably is down to opportunity, but is it maybe because a lot of films nowadays are all based on material that is pre-existing, and a lot of that material is not necessarily, well, even written or created by females and featuring females. So, we've mentioned Wonder Woman, but if you think of superhero films, most of them are male.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I would agree with that, to be honest. There's not a lot of... I suppose, looking back on it, there's not really loads of... it's obviously in comparison to men, like in terms of like source material, there's not really a lot for women to go on, like films to make or TV shows to make based on stuff that have been written by women. A lot of things, a lot of lines, I would say, for both film and TV that I've read by women, I'm just like, a woman definitely didn't write this.
Yeah.
like no woman would co-sign this line and stuff like that. So I do think there needs to be. I was maybe like, because I would say there's almost definitely a lot more like original material coming out from women now than there was like say 10 years ago. So maybe in 10 years time there's going to be a lot more, hopefully anyway, there's going to be a lot more female-led things.
I know there's a TV show which
could you argue that Game of Thrones maybe is a female, or would you say that's more like a...
I would definitely say that Cersei and Daenerys are two of the most important. Arguably Daenerys, you could argue it's different because you could argue Daenerys is the focus. You could argue that Jon Snow's focused, or even Tyrion. Although that film has its documented problems with female representation.
True. Very true.
But no, yeah, certainly. I mean, I don't. Obviously, we're still relatively young, so I don't think we've really lived through enough to be able to say there's been a shift.
No.
But I definitely think there's a lot more, even in the last year, awareness of issues and disparity. So that's only going to be, hopefully, to the positive. what's her name? Margot Robbie produced I, Tonya. So
is it?
Yes, as females producing their own works. And I know that Reese Witherspoon and Reese Without Spoon as well also have has her own production company. So I guess we'll definitely have to do a little bit more research into this.
Yeah. But, sorry, women. Any women out there?
But listeners,
we tried our best.
do definitely tweet us, because we've definitely missed some really obvious
100%,
ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just sort of Big Little Lies. Not that I saw that, but that's female centric. So yeah, definitely tweet us YC Podcast 17, Facebook, Instagram, under Your Average Critics, and definitely tweet us examples, tweet us what you think trends are, where we're gonna go, and any kind of great directors or producers that we should look into and start reviewing. Do you want to give us a rundown of the CW shows?
Yeah, I will. So, Supergirl's on a break while they do Legends of Tomorrow. So I won't talk about that.
Why is it on a break?
Because there's how many shows is there now? Supergirl, Legends, Arrow, Flash. There's 5 shows now, and I think they don't want to do. I think they don't want to do one a day, so they kind of have to like bundle up. And basically, they showed Supergirl, Legends, Flash, and Arrow.
What's the 5th one?
Black Lightning.
Oh.
From when they started, so like in October, all up to January. Then when Black Lightning come, and now iZombies come on now as well. They've kind of like had to pull back on one. I think they've put 2 of them on the same day. They put Black Lightning and Flash on the same day, and they put Legends on Mondays, and they pulled out Supergirl. So because Legends has got less episodes than the rest of them, I think they're just waiting for Legends to finish, and they're gonna put Supergirl back on till the end of the season. So yeah, Legends of Tomorrow. What happened there? It was. Do you know what? I'm not gonna talk about it because the episode's kind of shit. So
is that your least favourite?
Supergirl's probably my least favourite, to be honest. But Legends of Tomorrow is very volatile. It can be really good, but then it can be really like there was an episode recently. I don't think me and Chris talked about it, but we should have because it was terrible. Where basically they just did this. It was a bottle episode, and it was like one of the characters was going through a time loop. So it was like a Groundhog Day sort of thing. And then in the end, it was like, it was all a dream. I was just like, I was just waiting.
Did he used to read Word Up magazine?
I wish. Like, that would have made it interesting.
The only way it was all a dream is if he used to read Word Up magazine.
Honestly, it was...
Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine.
I was going to start... We can't get
copyright, innit?
But, so yeah, like, it was just a waste of 42 minutes of my life.
Dear me.
Honestly, it was such a waste. And then this week's episode was... it was alright, but it was nothing special. But Wally West from The Flash has now joined Legends of Tomorrow because basically he wasn't being used on The Flash because having 2 Flashes would make it really easy to capture the villain.
Okay.
So in Flash, actually Flash was actually a really good episode in a season that's been kind of average, I would say.
What's the overarching plot of this season of Flash? Because it's not a speedster villain.
It's not a speedster. It's this guy called the Thinker. But we're 15 episodes in, and I don't know what his plan is. I don't know what he wants. I don't know what he wants.
You don't know what he's thinking.
Literally, I don't know what he's thinking at all. But
he's the ponderer.
Literally, his body was his brain was like so like overcapacitated that it wrecked his body basically, and basically he's been body hopping from person to person in the last few episodes. So now he's this woman. This woman who used to be a country singer, and like all these people who he's been body hopping from, all had like metahuman powers. So now he's gained all their powers as well, stuff like that. So
okay.
So he's like super strong. But at the minute the villain's a woman, but it's a man inside a woman's brain.
Okay.
So yeah, he's doing all that, but he wasn't actually in this episode. This episode, the start of it was actually really exciting. So it starts with like the Flash like running to his wife Iris, and he's like crying and sweating, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And he was like, "I can't save us." And then they just look at the screen, and they're both just like, and then it starts. Like the title screen happens and it starts, and then it goes like back in time. And basically, what happens is, the Flash has to stop a nuclear bomb, from going off, and basically he's like running so fast that he can like pull other people into his fastness, if that makes sense, like people who aren't speedsters.
Like slipstream.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like trying to like get like how can I fix this? People are like, oh shit, I don't know. And then basically just like going through all the options, like trying to sort out this nuclear bomb. Obviously we know that, you know, because there's like 5 episodes left, so we know that the bomb's not going to go off. But they did work to keep it like, you know, nice and dramatic. In the end, his wife comes up with a solution, like something to do with like going into the Speed Force and throwing like a lightning bolt at it or some stupid shit like that. But it was very interesting. However, I feel like it's very problematic because he literally pretty much did maybe like an hour's worth of stuff in the space of like maybe like 8 seconds, 8 real second time. Right. So he's running so fast that he can do all this shit and still come back and it's only like 10 seconds later.
Okay.
So my problem now is that I can never, well, realistically, I should never be able to see the Flash not be fast enough to do anything because he's so fast. Like he is like stupid fast. So anything now he should just be able to beat by just running because like I should never want to have to hear him say, "Oh, I'm not fast enough." I'm like, "Yes, you are." Like, and even like 3 episodes, he ran to China in back in about 5 seconds. So you know, I'm gonna see how they. I'll have some critiques that I'm sure.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, a lot of programs kind of
obviously win suspension of disbelief and all that, but
they play within their. You've got to set your own rules
exactly.
within a kind of universe,
exactly,
and you have to stick to them. Otherwise, it's like,
what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that was a good episode though. I didn't really do a good job of explaining it, but it was kind of bottle episode-y as well, I would say. But yeah, that was decent. Show. Arrow. So they've kind of like there was like kind of been like 2 villains this season. They just killed one, and now we've kind of moved on to the other one, who I think is more interesting because the other one was kind of like some hacker, and that was kind of boring. This guy's kind of like a businessman, like a brawler sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more. I think his name's Richard Diaz. So it's a lot more interesting. And so he tries to capture someone who used to be in the Arrow team like 2 seasons ago, and he gets him. He's like beating him up and trying to get him to be a witness against Oliver Queen, who's the Green Arrow, and say, oh yeah, Oliver Queen's the Green Arrow, to try and like, get him to go to prison and stuff like that. And basically they spend the whole Arrow team spend the whole episode trying to get him back because obviously like, you know, they're friends and they love him and stuff like that. So that was a decent episode. And then what was the other episode that I watched? Black Lightning. Oh, I'll wait till you watch Black Lightning because I think it's actually a very good episode. So
well, we can talk about episode 6.
Yeah, last week's episode.
Is there only going to be 10 episodes?
There's going to be 13.
Oh, so why did they take a break after 5?
I have no
in
idea.
the UK? That's so
I
strange.
think so because obviously it's on the CW, and I think obviously they only have so many slots for so many shows. So when other shows like debuting, I think they have to kind of like move around the schedule sort of thing. I don't know.
Because I feel like, and maybe this was the case. Actually, probably was the case in America. Because the episode I've just seen is where Black Lightning has the opportunity to kill Tobias Whale. Is that his name? Tobias Whale?
Tobias Whale, yeah.
But then Lynn is in trouble.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, Anissa is basically about to reveal herself as. I don't think she's got a name yet.
No, she doesn't.
We'll call her.
Well, her comic name is Thunder.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, so she's going to reveal herself as Thunder or whatever to her mum. And then Black Lightning comes and thinks that Thunder is...
Yeah, like an evil person.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I really enjoyed that scene. However, when Black Lightning shot his lightning thing and she moved out of the way, why didn't she just go, hold on, I'm trying to save her, you know? Like, use your word. Instead she tries to fight him.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing?
But I thought it was a good... Because now that they know those 3, Jennifer is the only one who doesn't know. But yeah, I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like Anissa's powers are just everything.
Yeah,
she's like she absorbs everything. I was like, what? All we established was that she could like
super
stamp.
Strong.
Like
she can what's it called, withstand bullets. Even Jefferson through the lightning, she could throw up a force field.
So I was a bit like, okay, so you're not establishing what her actual powers are. It just seems to be everything, anything and everything. Gambi's a bit of a I don't know, he's a bit of a shady character, isn't he? He seems to have tutored Lady Eve.
So in this episode, he becomes even more shady. Like he's bare. Like I don't know who he is. Like,
I just don't like the guy as an actor.
Do you not?
I don't know if it's his lines or the way he delivers them, but everything he says is just so corny. And you know, I don't know, the way he just keeps saying man. I'm like, stop saying man. You know, he's like, hey man, don't kill Tobias, don't lose that part of your soul. And I'm like, oh, what is this, a fucking soap opera? Like, it's so cringy.
Yeah.
I think actually Lynn's quite a boring character. She's a very stock character, like the mother. She's like,
I can see that.
To the detriment of our marriage.
Do you know, I think the actress is actually English.
Is she?
Yeah, I think so.
Fair play.
Yeah.
Well.
But no, I thought, I'm trying to think about what else happened. Was this the episode that Jennifer tried to fix things with Khalil and he was like, fuck you?
Yeah, Khalil was prick.
He's a dickhead, man.
Yeah, he's saying she's like a white girl with nappy
hair.
Yeah,
he called her Becky, and I was like, fuck you, man.
What is that Becky about?
So when Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce, and so one of Beyonce's songs had a line like a song about Becky with the good hair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think that's code for like a white girl,
yeah.
basically.
Okay, fair enough. I thought this is because I was kind of getting to the point where I was like, oh, this show's getting a bit tedious, but no, this has kind of piqued my interest again, and I
would say this next episode will pique your interest as well.
Okay, and that's like the midway point as well, isn't it? So yeah.
That's the thing. So I think like the way it goes, because obviously I think it's hard to kind of have, you know, loads of like action-filled episodes. So for me, like the first 3 episodes were pretty good, and then it kind of like plateaued a bit. And then I think like the next 2-3 episodes will be good, and then I think it will plateau a bit. And then when it goes to like, okay, we're going to ramp to the end now. So maybe like episode 11, 12, 13 will be good, but maybe episodes 9 and 10 won't be great, sort of thing. But I don't know.
I do think the action in this isn't great.
No.
It's very much just like
it's
not prolonged. It's just like a couple of zaps, and a couple of punches.
I think it's hard to do good long action scenes with someone who's got powers like his.
Yeah.
So like just like kind of like zapping people was kind of pretty much like all you can do. Same with the Flash, really. All you can do is run fast.
Yeah.
So there's not really a lot you can do. Whereas like Arrow has like obviously like Arrow and like you got Daredevil, even like Jessica Jones, have all got like really good and sometimes quite long fight scenes, and Iron Fist, even though the scenes in that weren't great. Yeah. But you know, I appreciate the hand-to-hand combat and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, and so even like Luke Cage's the fight scenes aren't great because he just punches someone and they just go flying.
Yeah.
But no, okay. Well, I'm gonna watch Jessica Jones series 2, see if that's any good.
Yeah,
I think Luke Cage series 2 comes out this year as well.
In June, yeah. I'm gonna try and finish series 1. Daredevil's supposed to come out this year too.
Oh really?
I think so. But I don't know when.
I wonder if they've confirmed an Iron Fist series 2.
Yeah,
I think they've confirmed a Punisher series 2.
Yeah, they have. They've confirmed Iron Fist as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to see Punisher season 2.
No.
I don't want to see Iron Fist season 2, but
no.
I'm more interested in Iron Fist season 2 than I am Punisher. To be
really?
honest. Yeah.
I wonder if they'll do a Defenders series 2.
Maybe, I think, but
Reckon Inhumans is getting a series 2?
Oh man, no. No, that series is rubbish. I think Legion season 2 is coming out soon as well.
Oh really?
Actually. I never finished season 1, but yeah, I think that's coming out soon.
Infinity War's going out soon. Oh my god.
Oh mate.
It's been moved forward a day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So we were going to get it a week before America,
right,
and then they brought it forward so it's level, but now we've got a day earlier.
Okay.
I don't know why, but
that's alright then. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm hyped for that. Yeah. Although I do worry that it's going to be a bit anticlimactic. But
because this is like kind of like a part 1 of two films, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe they'll kind of like cliffhanger this one sort of thing. Not maybe not cliffhanger it, but you know it won't be finite, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming Thanos survives.
Yeah, it'd be a bit shit if he kind of died now after all the hype. I feel like after all the hype we've heard about Thanos, he has to be like the best villain we've ever seen. Maybe not ever seen, but he's got to be at least like top 3.
Definitely. And I also kind of don't want them to defeat him, like fully. I want a situation where at the end of Avengers 4, they reduce his strength, so he has to go and hide to come back, because they've been building him up for 20 odd films, and to kill him off within 2 would be, I think, quite disappointing. So I think he needs to be like a constant threat. You know, like he recharges his batteries and then comes back and eventually will be defeated, but has killed X number, you know, Hawkeye along the way and other.
I like Hawkeye, man. Happy lives. I like Jeremy Renner.
We'll see. And have you got anything else you want to talk about?
As soon as I've got it written down, I'll just quickly talk about Gotham by Gaslight.
Oh yeah, animation.
It's animated, yeah, DC animated film. It's a Batman film. So basically, it's your typical Batman film, but it's just set in. When was Jack the Ripper about?
17th century.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So set in those times.
Old.
But basically, yeah, it's a Batman film with, and like they basically like show loads of different DC characters, but obviously you know they're not their characters because it's like the 1700s. So like you got Catwoman, Selina Kyle there, Catwoman's there, Jim Gordon's there, Harvey Dent, some guy called Cyrus Gold, who I only just found out was a DC villain, Jason Todd, the other Robin, I can't remember his name, Tim I think was in there.
Tim Drake.
Tim Drake, that's the one. And yeah, so basically it's just about basically Batman trying to find out who Jack the Ripper is and trying to stop Jack the Ripper.
Is it Joker the Ripper in the end?
It's not Joker the Ripper actually, but he like develops do you know what? I suppose because the film's only like just over an hour, there's not really like a lot that really happens, to be honest. It spends a bit of time, you know, like kind of like setting the scene, and then obviously it shows. Oh, Poison Ivy's in it too. She's actually the first woman we see get killed.
Okay.
It's kind of bloody as well, actually. So yeah, Jack Ripper's just going around like killing whores and stuff, and people think that's you know, he's just killing degenerates and stuff like that. And then he kills the nun who took in Batman when he was young, and he's like, oh no, okay, now it's getting real. So then he goes and starts like looking for this guy, and he, as the nun got killed, he was in the, because he saw it coming, but he was too late to save the nun, so he's like kind of like over her body sort of thing, and some old drunk woman sees him and assumes that she's Bruce Wayne, and assumes that Bruce Wayne is the killer. So she starts screaming from the rooftops, yeah, Bruce Wayne is the killer, blah blah blah. And she says to Bruce Wayne, like, meet me at this place and give me some money, otherwise I'm going to tell everyone you're the killer. And he's like, fuck off. And then that woman turns up dead. So then people further suspect that Bruce Wayne's the Jack the Ripper, and he gets arrested. Basically, he gets arrested not before he has sex with Selina Kyle. I was on decent. He gets arrested, and he breaks out of prison. He somehow manages to break his way out of prison, and he basically puts it all together, and we find out that Jack the Ripper is actually, drumroll, Jim Gordon.
Ooh!
So Jim Gordon has been going around,
the rug from under my feet,
going around killing all these hoes, and he like abused his wife as well. Like you look at his wife's face, and she's got like some acid face, and I was like, it's like out of nowhere. She got like an acid face, and he's just like he's saying that he's got to rid the world of sin and blah 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 blah. He captures Catwoman and is like about to kill her because she's like she like does shows and stuff, you know, like women's show, like, you know, where like the girl wear like frilly dresses and, you know, that's seductress stuff.
Burlesque.
Thank you, that's it. That's why we're here, man. So yeah, she does all that stuff. So he's like, oh yeah, that's sordid and stuff like that. So he tries to kill her. Batman obviously comes, rescues her, and then him and Jim Gordon start duking it out. And Batman manages to like, Jim Gordon handcuffs himself to Batman so that he can like have like his way with him, like start punching him and shit. And Batman somehow manages to unhandcuff himself and handcuff Jim Gordon to this rail thing. Meanwhile, the place that they're in has just been like set a lot on fire, so the whole place is burning to shit. And Batman's like, oh, I had to pay Houdini $300 to teach me that trick. I was like, okay. And
it sounds like a really, really random entry into the DC animated. You know, they're setting it in like a real world setting, or with real world characters.
Yeah, but it's just the 1800s. It's great because I thought originally that he was just gonna like travel back in time or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's literally just Batman, but in the 1800s or 1700s.
How does it rank within the animated films you've seen?
It's okay actually. Do you know, it's not bad. It's a decent film, but I would say the other animated films that I've watched so far are better. It ends basically. Batman wants to turn Jim Gordon in, but Jim Gordon basically, because he's like handcuffed to this rail thing, he just like kind of stares Batman down, and just steps back into the fire and lets himself burn. And he starts screaming and shit. And I was like, ooh. Okay.
Would you like to see any of these plot lines become live action films potentially?
Not that one. But Batman Under the Red Hood would be really good in live action, I think. That's more like about Jason Todd and how like the Joker captured him and tortured him and stuff like that, and Batman didn't save him, so then Jason Todd comes back and he's like angry for revenge and stuff like that. So I think that would be a pretty cool storyline to do. The Dark Knight Returns, or there was one I watched. There was a 2-part one that I watched.
Year One's 2-part, isn't it?
Yeah, there wasn't that one. Oh, there was one where Batman and Superman were kind of like at odds, sort of thing. I think Green Arrow was there as well, and they were like trying to kill the Joker and stuff like that. And it was really interesting, and I feel like that would be good, but it might be a bit convoluted for live action. But yeah, I think the animated films are actually quite good. There's still a couple that I do want to watch. There's a Suicide Squad one coming out soon as well, I think. That looks interesting. I might give that a watch as well.
Are there any Marvel animated ones?
There are, but I don't really watch them. I watched one, and I can't remember. It might have been Iron Man. And I didn't really like it, and I think I just kind of don't really like the look of the animation, so I just kind of stopped watching.
Yeah.
I didn't really watch them again.
There's that samurai Batman coming out, isn't there?
Yeah, Ninja Batman.
That looks alright.
Yeah, I don't really understand why they're doing it, but I'll watch it.
But then why did they do Gaslight?
True.
Just
That's a very good point. But I'll watch it all the same. Yeah, it looks okay. You know, I hope that. I think no. I suppose it'll probably be. Do you reckon it'll be in Japanese?
Maybe.
Probably.
It'd be interesting if it was.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that seems like it's alright. I'll give that a watch if it comes out in. I'm sure it'll come out here somewhere.
And there's that Spider-Man one as well coming out as well.
Yeah. Peter Parker. What's it called?
Into the Spider-Verse or
That's
something. Something like that.
Yeah.
Even
The trailer for that looked really interesting as well.
Because it focuses on Miles Morales. Because Peter Parker's dead.
Yeah, I'll watch that too. I think that comes out this year. I think late October. I think.
Maybe. That probably won't be shown at Beckenham Odeon, but
yeah,
not much is these days.
No.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening, and please do get involved in our conversations. Whether you think any of the Oscar winners were undeserved. Whether you think it was competitive this year as last year. Also, please do educate us about kind of female-led shows, female-led TV, the conversations surrounding Me Too and Time's Up. We're very keen to understand from kind of another perspective.
I bet we missed loads.
Probably
Loads we missed.
But then that's probably that probably is symbolic of the lack of education and awareness.
Right.
That two men can't talk about this in a way that is probably as respectful as it should be.
Yeah.
So
True.
yeah, hopefully we haven't offended anyone. But
let me just shout out another quick couple female-led TV shows that I watched that were really good. So Sister, that was great. Lizzie McGuire, that was sick. That's a Raven, that was good too.
That's a Raven.
Yeah. The last two on Disney Channel. The first one was on Nickelodeon. That's for you. That's for the 90s
But
kids.
Hannah Montana, mate.
Hannah Montana. Oh shit, yeah. Shout out Hannah Montana. Well, no, I stopped watching that. But shout out Ketchy loved Hannah Montana. So yeah, for you 90s kids, that's a nice little tidbit for you lot. Obviously the Hannah Montana was like what 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
So that was a bit late.
And Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yeah. Oh bloody hell.
Basically any former Disney actress.
Yeah. This is why I wish Ketchy, because Ketchy used to watch all of this shit on Disney Channel, all the female-led shit, all the male.
Get on the pod, man.
I actually do. I need to get both of them because they love all that stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, tune in next week when there may be more than two of us, and hopefully we'll have our first guest on.
Congratulate yourself, man. We did a good job. Two man in it, so sorry, man. I'm sorry.
So if there's an audible handshake, a bit of webbing. Yes, there's been In Conversation with Glenn and Obi. I never refer to myself on this pod, do I? But yeah, tune in next week, and please do get involved in our conversations, social media, as I've said it to death on this pod, but we're on YSC Podcast 17 and Your Average Critics on other forms of social media.
Shit, sorry.
Oh.
We forgot. Nee on Instagram asked us what he thinks the best
power couples
are on TV. Do you think we should do that quickly, or?
I think we should wait for Joe and Chris.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so we'll shout out Nee thank you for asking a question. We will definitely research power couples on TV and film, and kind of hopefully do your question justice. So yeah, please do tweet us or ask us questions, and we will try and discuss them to a satisfactory conclusion. But yeah, tune in next time.
Peace.